Around it's oftentimes been discussed on psychological terms, but actually there's been some recent discoveries that it's actually a mutation. And so this is going to give you an opportunity to have A, some empathy, B, we're on some cutting edge research about actually discovering a cure for republicanism. So as we know, in the past, republicanism has always been, it's this sort of belief that everyone's just a deadbeat. But deep inside their brain is a mutation that does not let them to actually see the human side of suffering or the human side of the human experience. And so what we realize is that when we put Republicans in a nudist colony, this was sort of the first test. We said, well, if we take that out of their common element, gun-toting South, or sitting at a conservative table, or in a high CEO office meeting, what we found out was that they still were Republicans. And so that led us to start to do some real thinking. We sat around, we scratched our heads, we ran some algorithms, we punched some numbers, we made phone calls and did tests and studies and all kinds of stuff. And what it all came back to when we went back to the lab was that they were the only ones that weren't getting along with other people. It's called a recessive purple gene, and it's conglomerates. What happens? It's hereditary. It is hereditary, unfortunately. And as a hereditary recessive, algorithmic, detestable, scientific, what we'd call excess, important value notch. That this thing was that no matter how much you talked to them, no matter how much you sat them down and explained to them the value of caring for others and giving of yourself just a little bit, they still remain purple. Which was exciting as a scientist, because if it all just worked out, we'd be left with this, which would be a very uninteresting pie chart, right? And so as a scientist, you're all scientists, you all understand that a boring pie chart is kind of like a dinner without a good herb, or a meal without a good topic, or a discussion without a good fight. Oh, you all nerds and scientists. So once we realized that we weren't going to be stuck with this time being spent high, which is what most Republicans don't do, which is also an extension of the purple gene. And this over here is the scientific element that wasn't included when you don't actually get results that actually mean something for science, which is why it's out here. Now, had it would have been more like this, which would have been what we call it's called a lock, stock, and attach phenomena. It's very, very, very common for people that are Republican, because what happens is they have an older sibling or relative or someone that also has the gene. And what happens is they become attached to this construct genetically. But the exciting thing is that once we were able to realize that Republicans were actually, it was a genetic mutation and it was a scientific problem that could be solved with science. That science had the answers, and that the answer to Republicanism wasn't talking, wasn't sitting down and negotiating, wasn't voting, but it was this. It was the thing in the middle. Thank you. I did miss my dot. You've been a wonderful audience, and I just want to let you know that there is a bright future ahead.
You can finish your thoughts. Finish your thoughts. In summation.
So what we will be doing when we're passing out, there is a small tablet that you can slip into the drink of Republicans that and it will calmly and gracefully enter them into the world where you can actually have a compassionate conversation about the complexities of life. Thank you.
Give it up for Aaron, audience volunteer extraordinaire. Maybe there's a future for you in the world of science or politics.